Welcome to Raising the Bar, the Twist and Flip Gymnastics podcast. I am Faith Nichol and I'm a gymnastics coach at Grimsby Twist and Flip Gymnastics Academy. This podcast is full of interviews and behind the scenes knowledge into my gymnastics life. Keep listening to find out more. Hello everybody, I am joined by Dan Lonsdale, who is a strength and conditioning coach who does multiple sports. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So, obviously I've just given you a brief introduction. Can you just expand on that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I'm Dan Lonsdale. I guess the first thing's obviously how do we know each other? I guess it would be that I'd come and provide strength and conditioning support for your gym, which is obviously Twist and Flip Gymnastics Academy. But you know, I'm a consultant across the UK for gymnastics, strength and conditioning. And then my other job is I'm still a strength and conditioning coach, but I work with athletes at a university level, so who we call it like performance sports, the ones that are taking sport very seriously and potentially have like professional ambitions when they leave uni or during university.
Okay. So what is it like being a strength and conditioning coach, and can you just expand on what a strength and conditioning coach is?
Yeah. First one, probably like being an S&C coach, obviously clues in the name, it involves a little bit of strength, a little bit of conditioning. But it's a lot more than that. It's sort of trying to apply sports science in the simplest way to try and get like adaptation. So can we get people, you know, stronger, more flexible, more agile, more mobile, faster, fitter for the needs of their sport. And obviously that's where the science bit comes in. So not all sports are created equal, and we need to apply the science in the right way to get the right stuff. What's it like being an S&C coach? Amazing. Yeah, really good. It's something I've always wanted to do. So, you know, I found out about it in a really weird way from one of my old rugby coaches when I was about 15. I was like, that's the job I want to do. So for me, I just don't take it for granted. It's something I've always wanted to do. I enjoy it. Does it have its frustrations? Of course it does, like any other job. But, you know, they're good frustrations to have, you know, and it's the athletes that I work with. I'm really lucky to work like with athletes like you have, also other gymnastics clubs, and then, you know, the older athletes at university are also just really brilliant to work with, and it's nice just to see people enjoy what I'm doing with them as well. Okay, so what have you actually been doing during lockdown as an S&C coach? As an S&C coach?
Yes, okay. Or just in general.
Not watching Netflix like everyone else. But just in terms of when we first went into lockdown, it was crazy, wasn't it? So. Yeah. You know, what do you do with 150 university athletes that have just been popped down into the lockdown? So that was my first job, trying to give them programs to do at home. What equipment do you have? How are we going to best do that? So that was my first challenge. And I sort of went down the route of them being a little bit older and trying to give them a little bit more control of what they're doing. And then from a gymnastics point of view, because obviously two roles, two avenues, what a great opportunity to work on some physical things with gymnasts, because normally, you know, the gymnastics is the main thing as it should be. However, what a great opportunity to do some training at home. So we just did lots of Zooms, like you'll know with the coaches, where we ask questions and just trying to provide support. So just trying to be a help however best I can really to the clubs and the gymnasts and the coaches. Okay. Obviously you're here now, and you are here for 2 days, is that right? So, weekend today.
Yeah. Where were you before this? Okay. What club were you at last, or were you at a uni? A uni's back actually.
They're back, but I'm not back just yet.
Right.
Chomping at the bit, but not back. Day off yesterday, which was a bit more of an admin day. People don't really see that side of being an S&C coach, just sort of sat in front of a spreadsheet doing some work.
Yeah.
The day before that, I was at Amber Valley Gymnastics Club, working with those guys who I also see on a monthly basis. So just trying to get those guys nice, strong, fit and fast. So, yeah, really good. So you obviously touched on rugby and being at uni. How many sports do you actually consult for? Gymnastics is my main one. And then when I work at university level, 8 potentially. You know, I think it ranges from rugby, lacrosse, basketball, all the way to sort of speeding. So speed skating, which is like a sliding sport. All the way to sprinting, rifle. It's very, like at university, the people who turn up, you're not really sure, right? So it's a big, broad spectrum of athletes. Yeah. But rugby is my main one, and gymnastics is my other main one that I work with.
So what is one of the most important lessons you've learned as an S&C coach?
Oh, wow, lots.
Give us your top 5 then.
Top 5. I'll try and give you 5. I think being patient it is one that took me a long time to learn, and I think when I first started, it was about trying to get results in the quickest way possible, and I think the more time I've spent in it is that the results will come. It's more about the process and the environment and looking after the athlete. Touching on that, my second one would be that the environment is sort of king. So if you don't have a fantastic environment where everyone is buying into what you're doing as a coach or as a person, it doesn't matter how good your program is. No one will really do it, and if they do it, it'll be half-hearted. So that's my second one, is just build an environment where there's a lot of trust in the process and what's going on. My third one would be a lot of self-development. So you'll hear all good coaches, this will probably be something that if you ask someone the same question, you might get the same answer. There's every good coach I've ever worked with or spoken to is they do a lot of self-development, and that's outside of reading about the sport. It's about, self-development of themselves, understanding themselves.
Reflection.
Yeah. Self-reflection of every session, every block of training, and just being almost like your sort of best and worst critic at the same time.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at 3.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, being super honest, obviously it's a pretty uncertain time at the moment. However, I don't think that should change the plan. And the plan is to be helping as many gymnastics possible, gymnastics clubs as possible, wherever I'm needed, and just going and trying to spread the knowledge and sort of the scientific research in the simplest way. So in 5 years' time, doing the same thing, but helping more people and people who are willing to be helped as well.
Fantastic. What advice would you give someone wanting to be an S&C coach? Let's start there.
Okay. Well, you get some of this advice sometimes, don't you? So be 100% sure that it's something that you want to do, like truly honest. Does it sound good, or is it something you truly want to do? And once you've ticked that box, it's then, start learning and learning the principles of training and having a good scientific background. But on the other side of that, you can also just start coaching, and that doesn't have to be S&C. That can be, what you're doing a great job of is just getting involved in gymnastics coaching and doing the S&C when I'm not here. Go out and find a club that, don't have any support and offer them for free, and just start to hone your craft as early as possible. Because the sooner you start that, the sooner that becomes a lot more refined and you understand what's important and what isn't. So that would be my advice is, like learn the ABCs and everything that you have to do. And you'd like to think that that's what's being provided at universities and, at association level. But the other side of it is be a coach. And the way you get better at coaching, shock, is by coaching. So just get out there, start coaching. It doesn't matter if it's, it doesn't have to be a professional footballer in order for it to be good coaching. It can be anyone. So start coaching people and start learning how to get people to listen and respond to what you're saying.
Okay, what advice would you give to a gymnastics coach?
A gymnastics coach? I think...
It's quite a broad question, sorry.
No, it's a good one. I think I would say that, don't be hard on yourself and think that you're doing everything wrong when it comes to strength and conditioning. A lot of the things you're doing are correct.
Yeah.
My advice would be when you're programming and you are writing strength and conditioning programs or conditioning programs, can you justify everything that you're writing down? And by that I mean, if someone was to look over your shoulder and go, why is that in there for this amount of time or this many reps? Can you justify it? If you can, cool, it stays in. If you can't, it might not have to be there.
Yeah.
So try and justify everything, every decision you're making when it comes to conditioning and working with your gymnast, because you can't take it back out once you've put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you learn best?
I read a lot.
Yeah.
For my S&C stuff, I have to read it. So if it's quite sciencey, it's quite dry, I have to truly read it and write about it and write notes down alongside it, and go back over it quite a lot. Obviously, I drive around quite a bit, and that's just a great time to consume like podcasts and audiobooks. And so those sort of self-helpy books are quite nice to listen to rather than read. And then I always try and get maybe one online course done a year on a topic that I'm not too comfortable with. So a good example is a couple of years ago, I did a shoulder one that lasted probably about 4 or 5 months. And just consume it whenever you have time. So, and what I found it super useful because it's it means that you have an excuse to put your free time into something really constructive.
Yeah.
It sort of forced me into that as well, which is sometimes me.
Yeah.
So.
What inspires you?
Oh. From a gymnastics point of view, I think that's the way we'll go, is when you go in an environment and the gymnasts and the children are happy, smiling, having a good time, trying things that they might not have done before and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that inspires me, because it inspires, it sort of aligns with what I believe in, is just being encouraging to the gymnasts. I find that super inspiring, and that can be at all levels. It's just a coach that has just made the room light up and all the gymnasts are the same and the energy is a great feeling. That inspires me to sort of feed back into that and mirror that. What inspires me day to day? People just being genuinely quite kind and caring for each other. And it's soppy, but that's the way I think about it, is having a good group of people around you who support you and will guide you in the right direction. And I find that inspiring. Like if I have friends that are like that around me, I'll try and be like that around them. So I feel like sort of trying to reflect what I find inspiring back out.
Okay, keeping on the subject of inspiration.
Yes.
Who inspires you?
Oh, I've had loads.
And why?
Who? So, I've got a couple of mentors, I would say, that inspire me. So there's the two S&C coaches that took me under the wing when I was younger, called John Boyle, so Little John, and Luke Southgate at Durham, and basically those guys are my mentors. I still ring them and speak to them this day. I don't think they probably realise it as much, but those guys inspire me just with their view of coaching and how they approach it, and just still their commitment to working crazy hours and doing 12-hour days, and they still love it. Nothing has changed from when I first went there to how they are now. And then it would be rude not to mention Nick Ruddock as well. What the guy is doing for the gymnastics community is truly inspiring.
100%,
And it's not on a small scale. It's spreading, and that does inspire me. Like it makes me look and think that I should be up in my game on a daily basis. So yeah, he's also a very good mentor and also a very good friend. But yeah, he's an inspirational guy for a lot of people, probably in gymnastics. So I'm definitely one to say that as well. He's doing a great job.
What profession would you go in if you didn't do S&C?
If I didn't do S&C, it's weird, because obviously I've wanted to do it from being 15.
Yeah.
What did I want to do before that? There was probably two. I probably wanted to be a vet, because I love animals.
Yeah.
And then I think my other one was to probably join the police force to be a dog handler, also involving animals. Hence why I own a dog now, I think. But those are my two main ones. I think it was just I'm sort of crazy about animals and anything to do with them.
How could you not? They're just...
Yeah, I know. Well, yours has been in today, so you've seen it. But no, I think that was it. But like I said, from being 15, I sort of knew. And it's in my levers. I have a levers book where it was like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And mine was to be an S&C coach. At a football club, it said, but if we ignore that bit, it wasn't far wrong.
What was the first sport you got into when you first started as an S&C coach?
I started coaching as an S&C coach when I was at university. So I went to uni for 4 years at Edinburgh. So it was 2 years in. So I started to work at... I used to work at school, going around to help these really young rugby players. We didn't have a gym. We were outside, all weathers, all hours. And that was really good. And that's got me into it. And then I think when, if you would class what is like when I was an actual S&C coach and qualified and getting paid to do my job, I would say that it will have been like a plethora of things at Durham. So, rugby was my main one, but that went all the way to like triathlon, men's, women's lacrosse. So yeah, probably rugby my first one either way. I still do it now, but yeah, when I went to Durham, just expanded. I was getting given all sorts, because obviously I was the new boy as well, so I was getting sports that potentially the other coaches were like, let's try him out with this. So, yeah, rugby was my first one.
Okay. Where did you go to university and what did you study?
So I went to Edinburgh University and I did applied sports science for 4 years. It's a Scottish degree, you do 4 years.
Yeah.
I loved it. I recommend everyone, if that's the route you want to go down, I recommend everyone do it. And, if that's what you need in order to get the job as well, that's sometimes something that you have to do. But I really enjoyed the whole process. I speak really highly of the university.
Okay. And where are you looking to travel next? Like your next big travel, obviously.
Holiday.
Well, yeah, and you were in Belfast a couple of weeks ago, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in Belfast in Abbey Gymnastics. I think, I'm not too sure where my next proper travel, like if we're talking aeroplane, will be. I'm not sure. I don't know when that'll be.
I
don't know. I was meant to go over to America in August for a conference, and I was going to pop into Boston to see Mr. Tilley on the way back, but obviously that got stopped quite quickly.
Yes.
So maybe, I would like to think maybe the States, when that conference starts again, I'm going to try and get over there, and then, like I said, sort of swing by Boston on the way back. It's in Virginia, so maybe America would be cool.
That would be cool.
After lockdown as well, it's very cool.
Yes. Hopefully things will be semi.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I think
came a long way. That's what the song say. And I could do all things. I could do all things. Yeah, I could do all things. Yeah. We came a long way. That's what the song say. And I could do all things. I could do all things. I can do all things.
Thank you everyone for joining me today, and thank you for Dan for coming in and doing this podcast with me.
No worries, you're welcome.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, but if not, go check out our podcast, which is coming out soon. Obviously, you guys listen to it as podcast. It is already out now. But thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.
Yeah, we came a long way. That's what the song say. And I could do all things. I could do all things. Yeah, I could do all things. Yeah. We came a long way. That's what the song say. And I could do all things. I could do all things. I can do all things. Yeah. I'm not afraid of the moment. I'm not afraid I can't hold it. I gotta show 'em. Gotta get up in the morning. I gotta do it for Kobe. Lately I'm zoning. Lately I know where I'm going. Taking whatever control it. Show me opponents. I got a gift and I'm starting to own it.